Okay, so as promised, today on Hamilton Mechanical, I'm going to show you, or attempt to show you, how to replace a tube in a lawnmower tire. You know, this is not hard, so I beg of everybody that watches this video, or please tell your friends, do not use Fix-A-Flat in a riding lawnmower tire. It is very nasty, it doesn't really work, and when we have to fix it later, it's really gross. Okay, so just please don't do it. Just take your tire off, take it to a tire shop, take it to a lawnmower shop, take it to somebody that can put a tube in it. So that's what we are going to do tonight. My tire changer here, I purchased this from Harbor Freight for about $60, and it's very simple. It's just a piece of threaded rod and a few attachments, a couple spacers. This mounts to a workbench, which I would hope you mount it to a better workbench than I did. It comes with a tool we use to break the bead. So I'm going to show you how all this works. And we're going to put the tube in this tire. So first, you see the side the valve stem is on. This is your valve stem. First thing we're going to do is get rid of that. You don't need it. It's in our way. So that side of the tire, what we're going to start with, is the other side. And you'll see really quickly why I say I hope you make your tool better than I mounted mine. You do have to play around with the spacers and kind of get the ideal amount of thread. If it's too little, you will strip this thing. It's very easy to bend this threaded rod. You're going to hook this tool into this piece. We don't necessarily have to tighten the tire down, but what we're doing is we're going to break the bead. Just like that. So now, I hope you can see there, the tire and the rim have been separated on this side. Flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. What you're basically trying to do is just go right up at the edge of that rubber and push it down. And there's this area of the rim here that it seats on, and you've got to get that tire pushed past that. So now we have both sides loose. Now sometimes what will happen is when you push down on one side, it remounts the other side. But usually you can wiggle them back off again, but you do need to have both sides where they're loose. Wiggle this one back up. Okay. Sticky tire. Alright. So now, we want this to be tight. You can pretty much use this like a wrench of sorts. So you see my problem here? Yeah, I should have mounted that further away from the wall. And really, I need it somewhere where it's not taking up room on a workbench, so one day it will get put somewhere else. Anyway. So, you insert this tool between the tire and the rim, and at the same time, we want to make sure that the bead, the edge of this tire, is below that spot in the rim where it seats. So it gets narrower as it goes further in, and that allows our tire to move over. A lot of people will fight and fight and fight trying to get tires off, but you have to make sure both sides are like this. And our bottom is stuck again. So. Sticky tire, come on. Of course, the first one I tried to video have one do that to me in forever. Okay, so now both sides pushed. Okay, so now the ball is underneath the tire. This part's riding on the rim, and it's just as simple as spin around like that. Now, I'm going to fish in there and get the rest of our valve stem out. And I pick up the tubes we use at the tire shop. They're made by Carlisle. These are really good tubes, and they don't charge me near what they do in a store for as opposed, you know. Okay, so here's our new tube. Now it's very important to note, you see one side has a blue stripe, one side does not. With the valve stem facing up, the blue stripe will always go down. The only exception to this is when you're having to do a John Deere tire, and John Deere has a shoulder for their bead on one side that's like 4 inches, and sometimes it's easier to get it off the other side and put the tube in upside down. And if that's the case, then yes, you would want the blue stripe facing you. But for most purposes, with the valve stem facing up, you want the tube to be facing blue stripe away from you. Now, there's no pretty way to do this. This is just kind of have to manhandle it to get in there. Taking care, of course, not to pinch it on any of the metal. You don't want to put a hole in it. That's the whole point of putting a tube in, isn't it? Okay. Now, what you can do is, if I put them back in the right spot, that would probably help. Okay. Get you a pair of needle nose vice grips, or a pair of hemostats, or anything like that. And use that to keep the valve stem from retracting back into the tire until we are done. And if you do everything right, that won't be a problem. But if you put the tube in wrong, or it gets twisted, when you go to air it up, it will suck that valve stem back in, and you don't want that to happen. That's a pain. You're out the cost of the tube and the time you spent. So, also, you can use a little bit of lubricant. I use silicone spray. You can use soap. You know, try to stay away from grease or WD-40, if those things tend to attack rubber. And that might too, but I've never had any problems with it. So, someone wants to let me know in the comments that I'm not supposed to use that on there. No one's ever told me not to, so. Alright. Now, I find it easiest to start, well, partially because I have a freaking wall in my way, but we're going to start right here. Positioning your tires, just about everything, because you've got to get it to sit still. And also, you got to make sure you're not going to hit anything in the process. Okay, so can you see that? Maybe. So while pushing down, you want to be underneath that ear, just like that. God, I hope that caught it on camera. All right. Now, we are ready for air. Get some air. Okay, so now we can put air in the tire. And I usually run about 15 psi. Now, if you hear air hissing out, this doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. Sometimes the tire will seal up so well, or maybe your leak was so slow, that air is actually getting trapped between the tube and the tire and leaking out between the valve stem. So what you have to do is just go slow, add a little bit of air at a time, and eventually this will go away. Quite a bit of air in there. I mean, it really, to a novice, you would think that you've actually poked a hole in the tire, or in the tube, but there we go. See? And we're hissing. And the valve sometimes like, sorry, camera. Now we're going to put it up at our pressure. So this gauge is actually about 20, according to the digital one. This, as you see, took about 10 minutes to do. It cost about $15 for the tube, and no, you may not have a fancy tire changing machine. Although if you work on small engines a lot, a couple of guys on YouTube I've noticed, this is a great investment. You can do it with screwdrivers or spoons and rubber mallet. It's very easy to poke a hole in the tube, and it's a pain in the butt. It takes a lot of time. This makes it go very quickly, and for as many tubes as I have to do, it was worth the investment. So I wanted to make a video to show you guys exactly what this process was. These tires come tubeless from the factory. I worked at a dealership for around about 8 years, and in that time it was a Husqvarna dealership, and we had brand new mowers out of the crate that we had to put tubes in the tires because they did not hold air when brand new. It is a cost-cutting measure. There's no need for them to be tubeless, and that is why everything you buy that is small, garden, lawn and garden kind of purpose, the tires always go flat. Wheelbarrows, yard carts, lawnmowers, you name it, pressure washers, anything with pneumatic wheels, there's always a tube, and the tube is always the best choice. And as long as you don't have physical huge holes in the side of your tire and it's not physically cracking apart, you can always put a tube in it, and it's way cheaper than replacing the tire. As long as you have some tread left and you don't have big cracks in your sidewall, you are fine. And I've put tubes in dry rotted tires and seen them last for the rest of the life of the mower. So there's no need to go out and spend. Tires like this can be bought anywhere from $50 to $100, just depending on the size and type. And I've seen them over $100 before, especially more than 10 years ago. They were as much as car tires, and it's pretty ridiculous considering these are not DOT approved, so they're not highway rated. I think it even says on there, not for highway service. So there you go. I hope you guys saw something you learned today. Oh, one more thing real quick. So there's one clip that holds this wheel on. All you got to do is get your wheel off your lawnmower, just jacked up a little bit with something, a jack, a block, something. You take that one clip off and the wheel slides right off. And there's a key. And when you put the wheel back on, this key goes in a slot here and a slot on the axle, and that's what locks them together. And I've seen a lot of people take their tires off, get them tubed, put the wheels back on the lawnmower, and it wouldn't go anywhere, and they would sell the lawnmower for cheap or throw it away. And we've fixed several of them that way too. So these were super simple to remove, and then that way you're not trying to transport your riding lawnmower, to the local repair facility or whatever. And this is really simple and easy to do. Even if you cannot change the tube yourself, if you can get the tire off and take it to a tire shop or a small engine shop, they should be able to put a tube in it for you for a very low cost, around $20 to $30 a tire. So thank you guys, and have a wonderful day. Hope you learned something today.